Everyone, thank you all for being here, Madam Chief Justice and justices and judges, family. Another historic day that we'll make and mark together. With each of these, we obviously, I hope you already know, take it very seriously. Try to match the thoroughness that the Judicial Nominating Commission and Chief Justice presents us with a decision of 3 to make. This is my 5th such appointment to the Court of Appeals, my 82nd total. This one is historic in the sense that it will be the first time the Court of Appeals will be, the majority of the members will be female. And so there is a shift there. I know you knew that. Yeah. Took a while, but we got there. But all 3 of the aspirants were not just overly talented and capable, but have distinguished careers currently, and all 3 would have served with distinction. I'm quite confident of that, but I'm also equally certain that Judge Dana Kenworthy is not just prepared for this next step or this next level of service to her fellow citizens, but she'll make 6.8 million Hoosiers proud in the process of this service. And when you think about some of her colleagues, what they have to say about her just underscores the point. Someone said that her positivity is contagious, and I like that kind of contagious effect. Having lived through a couple years of COVID, this is the positive impact of that. And another described her as having endless energy and dedication to her work. And to say that I was hopeful that we would meet again is really an understatement. And I'm so glad that you stepped forward and said that you were ready for this service. Her story is quintessential Hoosier. Indiana, not Peru, the country, born in Peru, and stayed relatively close throughout her adult life, quickly became one of the sharpest legal minds in our state. That became very obvious very early on, graduating from IU McKinney, summa cum laude, the highest achievement you can receive and earn. And then you think about the decade of experience thereafter as an attorney and as a deputy prosecutor, certainly as judge in Grant County, handling the virtually every type of case that could come before anyone, very complex civil, criminal, business litigation, you name it, you've seen it, you've dealt with it. And I think that kind of deep well of experience is going to serve not only those who come before you, but your colleagues well into the future. But that, as I've come to get to know, if I can say this still, Dana, before you assumed this new role, kind of that passion was sparked much before McKinney. When you think about rewinding the tape and going back to your college days and working at a daycare center and maybe getting that bug to help and be around children, especially those who are struggling or those who are in need, just in the conversation it comes out that this has been lingering for quite some time. And then as I mentioned, as deputy prosecutor, I kind of looked at what you focused on and honed in on, gravitated towards, and no surprise, once again, involved children, like every step of the way, child abuse. And sexual assault, domestic violence, computer-facilitated crimes, you name it, there was this common thread throughout it all, juvenile delinquency. And so it was of no surprise that she earned this distinction as Prosecutor of the Year from the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And so your peers and onlookers far and wide have recognized what you have brought to the bench. And for that we'll always be eternally grateful. And then when you think about on the bench at the Superior Court in Grant County, you've earned this reputation there were words that kept creeping up and common themes again about your dignity and your wisdom, and I would add, if I could do so, just getting to know you, and I suspect just the grace that you have brought to the profession, to your colleagues, those who you work with, but also to those who come before you in their most challenging hours. It's just when you spend a little time with Dana and you talk about families, this is when her passion comes alive. At least it did to me. And you hear it in her voice, and you see it in her demeanor, you see it in her actions, you see it in the initiatives. One of the first founders of in Indiana, a family recovery court. Again, dealing with folks who are of the highest need and highest at risk, and so not shying away from the difficult ones. And you think about what I learned was Dana's Court, almost sounds like a television show, Dana's Court, and which has come to be known as kind of the gold standard. It's been recognized not just around the state of Indiana, but really around the country, and the graduates and the babies that are born that aren't substance dependent because of the process that they go through. And then to think about this, and I hope you bring it with you, your magic gavel, to learn about the magic gavel where the little kiddos come up to the bench and get to literally their hand is playing a part of the next chapter in their life, really their destiny, really this forever new home with families. And it just speaks to your character and your commitment and understanding who and how folks are affected that come before you, and how your professional duty brings with it huge impact in people's lives. Not to mention that your husband Alex and you have fostered some 15 kids over the years into your home, which just speaks to how the commitment doesn't stop at the courthouse, so to speak. You might find Dana at a community fair talking about recovery courts, family recovery courts, and folks who are in search of help or maybe even hope. You might find her volunteering as an instructor at Ivy Tech or Indiana Wesleyan or Taylor. And so just committed, her and Alex, by the way, a retired policeman who coached up at Oak Hill, the school court where Dana attended. This is, as I was reviewing this over the last few weeks, this is a power couple because of the powerful impact. They have literally devoted their adult lives to serving others in the most of important ways that anyone could. And for that, again, I say thank you. And Dana shared with me a quote that really tugged at my heart. She said, her heart beats faster when she talks about judicial philosophy. You are about to get an aerobic workout. And just speaks to, this is just a perfect match. I mean, with the group that you are joining and the work that you'll have before you, congratulations. Look forward to you making your mark on our great state's history and future. And with that, may I present to you the newest judge on Indiana's Court of Appeals, Dana Kenworthy.
Thank you, Governor Holcomb and legal team, as well as Emily, the governor's wrangler, I've learned over this process. I've also appreciated First Dog Henry for being a gracious host during the interviews. I'd also like to draw some light to the Judicial Nominating Commission members who spend hundreds of hours during this process. And this is not their paid job. This is their second full-time job on top of what they normally do in their regular work hours and their family responsibilities. And I was, to a person, so very impressed with every single member of the commission and every single member of the staff of the commission who did all of the behind-the-scenes work to make sure that that process was smooth. Indiana has a lot to be proud of in its merit selection process. I think we stand head and shoulders above many areas of the country that do things differently than we do, and so Indiana should be very proud. That said, it's a very in-depth, lengthy process, and so I'm very, very grateful to all of the family, friends, and colleagues who lent support throughout the process, and it's meant more to me than they can know at this point. I'd like to mention the other two finalists and thank them for the friendly process. We all got along very well as we crossed paths during the interviewing process. My friend Judge Paul Felix and attorney Carol Joven both clearly are committed to their communities and are would be well able to serve as well on the Court of Appeals. I will mention as well my predecessor, Justice Derek Moulter. I met Justice Moulter earlier this year in the process and found him to be incredibly intelligent and genuinely a nice guy. And so during the first process of the year, I thought, rats. So I know that he will serve the Supreme Court with honor, and I am very happy to step into the void that he's left on the Court of Appeals. I learned of this appointment yesterday afternoon, and so it's been a whirlwind, 24 hours or so. And since then, I've been welcomed by Chief Justice Rush, and I have to say that she has been a role model of mine since I took the bench. And so she may or may not know that, but I very much appreciate the fact that she leads by example, and her energy level is unmatched. So very proud to get to join her and all of the colleagues here in the room. I also want to thank each of my new colleagues seated on this side of the room. During the process, I reached out to each of them to ask, where's the court headed? What can the court use for help? What's the court thinking about these days? And each one of them was so gracious, spending time with me to talk about how they view the court and where they see things going. And to a person that I spoke with, they all told me that this is the very best job you can have in the legal profession. And so I'm very, very glad to join you all. And I look forward to learning lots and lots from each of you. My husband of 25 years is here, Alex. If you haven't spoken with him, you will quickly learn that he is my polar opposite. He's an extreme extrovert. He's a comedian, endless source of energy and support. And so I thank him for being here today and every step of the way. I was born and raised in Miami County, as the governor mentioned, the town of Amboy, population 319. Looked that up last night. My mother, Flossie, still lives there in the home where I grew up. And she, unfortunately, couldn't be here today because my stepdad, Mike, was released from the hospital this morning. He's doing better, but I'm certain that she is home making sure that he is doing his physical therapy while they watch online. I'm proud to say that I am my mother's daughter. My mother supported a family of 6 while working as a cashier at the Amboy supermarket in that town of 319. She attended every one of our school events. My brothers and I have 3 older brothers. took us to church on Sundays. She gave the children's sermon each week, and she still found time to volunteer in the community. I learned from her that you work hard for every dollar, that you live within your means, and you always have a duty to serve others. My mother repeatedly told me over the years, you can do anything you set your mind to, and she always, always believed that I could. So thank you, Mom, for everything over the years. For the past 25 years, I've had the privilege of working with people on the front lines as a victim advocate, as a deputy prosecutor, as a guardian ad litem for children going through divorce cases, and as a trial court judge in Grant County, Indiana. I've had the benefit of wonderful mentors every step of the way. I will sorely miss my office and work family, my colleagues and community, but I will stand on their shoulders and work hard to make them proud as I move into this next role. As a new judge, I got some very good advice. Treat every case like it's the most important case you will ever have, because to the people involved, it is. And that's absolutely true. First and foremost, I found people want to be heard. And that's our job as judges, to listen to the very best of our ability. The law was written for people in their daily lives. Court decisions have real human impact. I'll bring all of those experiences, all of those faces with me to serve on the Indiana Court of Appeals. And I'll work hard every day to be worthy of the privilege of serving in that capacity. I'm humbled and honored to stand before you today, and I'm really excited to get started. Thank you.
By the way, Henry, I had a little talk with Henry after you left the last time and informed him about Nero and Jersey. These are the arson dog and the nursing home dog, service dogs there in Grant County, and informed Henry he was slacking, that there was more work to be done. Madam Chief Justice, would you, as always, share a few words about this moment? Thank you.
Welcome. I asked Judge Kenworthy as she was going through the process and applying for the Court of Appeals, why? I want to know why. You know, what are you thinking? She goes, I feel like I'm a racehorse and I'm at the gate and I'm ready to go. She had me. I've known Dana for a while. I've seen her leadership both in Indiana and nationally. I remember I was on a plane coming back from D.C. one night, and there she is with her family recovery team. And this family recovery court is something that you look at the CHIN system and children that are in the welfare system, and what can we always have to challenge ourselves to do better. I mean, they are our most vulnerable. And she decided that she was going to bring a family recovery court to Indiana. It's now a national model. I have talked to some of the graduates. I've seen she does the graduations in churches, which I think is just a great way to bring the faith community in with what we're doing when we look at reformative justice in Indiana. She's a go-to judge in Indiana with regard to judges, find out what how Judge Kenworthy is doing it. So this judge from a small community in Indiana is now going to be statewide. She's joining an unbelievably talented group. There's so much to learn from the judges on the Court of Appeals, and I would put our Court of Appeals judges against anyone else in the nation. They're a strong group. They make, Justice Goff is here, Justice Moulter, myself, they make our jobs easier because of the quality of their decisions and the amount of time that they put in them. So we're excited to have you. I look forward to that racehorse and seeing, I think 50 years from now, little girls are going to read about Judge Kenworthy and all the great things that she got done for the state of Indiana. So congratulations and welcome. This time I'd like to have Chief Judge Bradford, but I have to do a plug. Chief Judge Bradford has just gotten done with 3 years as Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals during a very interesting time. And his leadership and his statewide help to me have been invaluable. So thank you, Chief Judge Bradford. And can you come up and say a few words?
Thank you, Chief Justice Rush and Governor Holcomb, for allowing me to speak, and Judge Kenworthy. And so after they say the horses at the starting gate, they say, and they're off. And so now you're off Well, you don't run this race alone, you get to run it with 14 teammates. And we as a court couldn't be more proud to have you, all right? And as a member, good judges are good decision makers, and you're obviously that. Great decision makers or great judges are some judges that make an impact around their state and their community beyond that. And you've done that time after time was mentioned, and it's being a leader against domestic violence and fighting the specter of substance abuse as it relates to how it destroys the homes and our children in Indiana. So we thank you for all that, and now you get an opportunity to grow that impact statewide. And we're so proud that you're a member of this court. You'll find that we'll do everything we can to assist you as you succeed over the decades. We're also, all the judges of our court, the women and the men, we're very proud to be a part of the milestone that is marked with your selection, just as we were proud when Judge Margaret Robb was elected the first chief judge of our court some years ago. I fortunately have been able to be a part of both these events, all right? And the women and the men of the court support you and support our court. We look forward to working with you going forward, and welcome aboard, all right?